Hello, welcome to the Self-Healing Revolution, where ancient wisdom and modern science meet. I am your host, Paige Spearman, owner of Love Yourself, an Ayurveda and integrative wellness practice based in Louisville, Kentucky, where I offer online coaching and courses to learn more about Ayurveda. It is my intention with this summit that you learn a few different things from our guests and speakers. 1, to biohack your body. 2, master your mind. And 3, elevate your soul. And I learned within my own healing journey, which started over a decade ago, that it took working with a lot of different experts and professionals in many different areas to begin to heal my life. And that remains true to this day. I suffered from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, leaky gut syndrome, and a lot of nutritional deficiencies. And I worked with people all across many fields, from physical therapy to chiropractic care to energy work, and of course, Ayurveda, amongst many others. So with that being said, I'm so excited today to introduce you to somebody I recently came across in my social media world, and that is Mateo. He is a hydrogen specialist and CEO at Axiom H2 LLC, his company that he created. He is a health and fitness enthusiast with certifications in holistic nutrition, strength conditioning, herbs, supplements, oxygen, ozone therapy, and molecular hydrogen education from the Molecular Hydrogen Institute. Mateo is a natural athlete with years of competitive boxing, MMA, avid tennis player, and free diver. He is a certified scuba diver and world traveler. His personal motto is, "We're fighting the good fight, can't patent hydrogen, knowledge is power, in healing the world one person at a time." His mission is to introduce hydrogen therapy to the world, offer easily integrated methods of using hydrogen, and to only offer products that have been tested and proven to be safe and above therapeutic H2 levels. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today. And I have one easy, simple question right off the bat, and that is, what is hydrogen?
What is hydrogen? So it's a good question. It's a simple question that can be answered in many different ways, but it is the first element on the periodic table. It also happens to be the smallest element out of all the elements in the whole universe. Hydrogen is a foundational element that makes up the stars, the universe, and basically all life. And so it is a very, very special molecule. It has a couple different names, as the God molecule or God's breath, because hydrogen is found in every living aspect of water, plants, our universe, the sun. It's an energy source that's being utilized more and more towards the future for creating clean energy in cars, planes, and trains. Where I specialize, hydrogen is using molecular hydrogen for therapeutic benefits.
So when you say molecular hydrogen, is it different for the healing benefit?
There is monohydrogen, there's dihydrogen, there is hydrogen peroxide. So there's a few different forms of hydrogen, and I specialize in dihydrogen, which is 2, also known as more familiar H2. When we talk about water, H2O, that's going to be 2 hydrogen molecules attached to 1 oxygen molecule. And when those are combined, that's where we get water.
Right. So with that being said, are the other forms of hydrogen also helpful for healing, or is it just H2?
As of right now, the research has been mostly surrounded by molecular hydrogen, which is H2, also known as dihydrogen. That's where most of the research is. And that's where my focus is. The other hydrogens can actually be harmful, other forms, as well as hydrogen peroxide used in certain ways can be harmful as well as beneficial.
Interesting. So what is it about H2 amongst the other hydrogens that, is it because it's closely linked to water? What is it in particular about H2 that gives it its healing elements or component, I guess I should say?
Well, it has a neutral charge, which makes it easier to work with the body in different aspects. But this neutral charge, and having it that it has 2 atoms, it can also release 1 atom to attach to other things, to neutralize them. And the way that it actually works in the body is still very much a mystery, because it does work intelligently in the body. It can work differently in your body than it does in my body. And one thing that the top researchers in Japan and around the world have found is they can see what it does, but they still don't understand how it acts so intelligently in with different individuals at different doses.
That's really interesting. You know, I had also on the summit a person that I interviewed on structured water, which I'm still probably just like hydrogen going to be trying to wrap my head around for some time to come. And similarly, when he spoke about structured water, he talked about the intelligence that it has. And I'm also wondering if it's also because that H2 component, there's something about the H2 that makes it healing or intelligent, if you will. So what is it when they say that it's intelligent? Can you tease that out a little bit more about how it can be intelligent? Or maybe
Sure.
Because it is adaptable to our bodies for what is needed. I'd like you to speak more about that.
Sure. So a couple of points to touch base on is that as it works intelligently in the body, what I mean by that is for certain individuals consume hydrogen, it can create a reaction of the production of antioxidants because that's what that individual needs. However, a different person can consume the same amount and same concentrations of hydrogen and it will produce oxidants, something completely different in the body. Why does it do that? Because that individual needs oxidants as signal molecules to trigger other reactions. Not all oxidants are bad. And that's one of the beautiful things about hydrogen. It is a selective antioxidant. So it will selectively neutralize other oxidants and leave certain other oxidants as signal molecules. So that's how I mean it acts intelligently. It knows when to trigger oxidants or to neutralize oxidants and when to trigger the production of antioxidants.
Wow, that's so fascinating. And yet, like, do you know if the research is there yet to explain why it's able to do that?
No, that is part of the mysteries of its intelligence. How does it know how to do this? We're not sure, but we're seeing it does it in this individual and does it in this individual. How does it know how to do it? We don't know. But what we do know through the research is that it is always working in the best case scenario to bring homeostasis in each individual.
Wow, that's really fascinating. So I guess my other question is when I mentioned your bio, you've worked with ozone therapy. Is hydrogen therapy different from ozone therapy, which more people I think are familiar with? And if so, how and why?
Okay, great question. So ozone therapy is another excellent, natural, very strong healing modality. However, ozone is oxygen with an extra added oxygen molecule. So it's very oxidative, whereas hydrogen is very antioxidative. It's very regenerative. So
It's regenerative versus oxidative. Okay.
Yes. So the way go ahead.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt because you're on this thought process, but I'm wondering, are they complementary? And just keep speaking about it. I'm really curious where this is going.
I think they are very complementary. The way what I would recommend to utilize those two in a protocol is to prep the body by cleansing it first, preparing for the ozone treatment, utilize the ozone treatment, which is what I call, this is the blade, this is a sword. It can slice and dice viruses, disease, molds. Ozone's extremely strong via its oxidative properties. However, after ozone therapy, I would say after a day of having ozone in the body, wait 24 hours, and then start hydrogen because it's very regenerative. So some of the things that the oxidation, that killing that happens during the ozone therapy, the hydrogen can bring more regeneration after such a intense oxidative treatment. So I think they balance each other out very well.
Yeah, they serve almost different purposes. So in Ayurveda, when you're talking about oxygen therapy being purifying in Ayurveda, that would mean like being detoxifying, or like you said, killing pathogens or mold or whatever. And so that has a purifying effect. And then what you're speaking about in hydrogen in Ayurveda being a rejuvenative, it's restoring, that would be something we would call like ojas producing, which is like building immune system or strength within the body. And I just always come at, when I talk to anybody, my science, right? I'm trained as an Ayurvedic practitioner, so I'm always like thinking that way. And one of the things that we do in Ayurveda is we always want to rejuvenate the body or build strength before we over purify it, because if you over purify, you weaken the body. And so you said something interesting. You said that before you would start ozone therapy, you would do some purification, like you would do some detoxification. And can you explain what you meant by that? And then I'm just curious, like you obviously maybe have some kind of protocol you're speaking to.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously depends on each individual case, but in general, ozone, or I'm sorry, yeah, very cleansing to pool. It holds the highest amount. So I like to would do a week of hydrogen therapy before you start ozone. Do your ozone therapy, and then give it at, like I said, at least 24 hours after an ozone treatment to introduce hydrogen again, which can help cleanse out the detoxification that happened during ozone.
Interesting. Yeah. It's very interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I'm one of the things that I've been trained is to look at the body of a particular person and see how much purification they need or see how much rejuvenation they need. Because like if you took a cancer patient, for example, who's already very, very toxic because of radiation and chemo, you know, it would be very hard to put them through strong purification because they would be weak already and they would need to build some strength within the body. So it's very interesting that it has this rejuvenative component. And I also think that right now that we have a society of people that are, you know, immune compromised, and we've looked at a whole period of COVID where, you know, you have a lot of people that have weakened immunity just simply because they haven't even been around viruses and bacteria by isolation. Like there's a lot of need within our culture and community for rejuvenative therapies.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of both of them. They both definitely have their role and their place. And
Yes.
And I was practicing and studying utilizing ozone therapy a few years before I discovered hydrogen therapy. And then when I came to the educational and trying to create the same type of healing protocol for other people, ozone can be dangerous. You can overdo ozone. So it was something that I realized, okay, you have to be very trained and studied in ozone therapy to operate it yourself. Whereas on the opposite spectrum, hydrogen, you can never overdose on it. It has one of the highest safety profiles. So then I kind of moved my energy from working with ozone in clients to hydrogen because it was just safer. Typically, the results are a little slower than ozone in certain aspects. But at the end of the day, they can both honestly produce very similar results.
So were you early on like more focused in ozone therapy when you moved over to hydrogen? Is that true to say that you were using ozone therapy when you stumbled upon the benefits of hydrogen therapy?
Correct. Yeah, I was utilizing a medical grade ozone machine, making ozonated water, doing a lot of ozone rectal insufflations. It's a great way to clean the colon and improve nutrient uptake, and really help with mucoid plaque that can also build up in the colon. For women, it's even better in the vaginal canal because it can lead to all the other organs and really clean everything. So it's more effective with women in those regards. But for men, I was recommending the rectal insufflations as well as ozonated water. And you can even breathe ozone, despite contrary belief, when you infuse it through extra virgin olive oil. You would just get the ozonites where you can actually inhale the ozone at safely.
So I'm very fascinated by this. So then you were using ozone therapy and you moved into hydrogen therapy. And what did you see, like, when you switched over to start happen? Like, what were some immediate aha moments that you had?
Okay. So honestly, I started with, it was called oxyhydrogen, which is a mixture between oxygen and hydrogen at 66% hydrogen, 33% oxygen. That's when I first started getting introduced to this hydrogen gas, hydrogen therapy. I was doing a lot of research online. I realized it had a very high safety profile. And like I said, I switched my energy over. And what I saw when I first invested into tablets and my first generator almost 5-6 years ago wasn't a huge difference. At first there wasn't a huge difference. So I'm like, okay, not really sure about this. I could tell it was changing some properties in the water, but I never had this night and day, wow, I'm different, this works off my first week. I didn't have that at first with that machine using oxyhydrogen. And I will be honest, when I first realized the benefits was when that machine broke and I stopped using it. That's when it was like, wait, something's different. I haven't been drinking hydrogen-rich water. I haven't been breathing the oxyhydrogen gas. And then I realized, wow, okay, I saw my energy maybe stop a little bit during this phase that the machine was broken. And I saw I was consuming less water. So then I'm like, okay, so it's really doing something. And because it works on such a deep level, such a cellular level, and it's not a stimulant, it's not a depressant, it works on such a deep level that you have to be very tuned into your body or put yourself in a position of high stress or a very like grueling workouts. You have to push your body to the limits to show the effects of hydrogen if you're in good health. However, if your health is compromised and you have imbalance in the body and disharmony, oh, it shines within the first session. But
So,
I
like,
was already dialed in with my...
Yeah, like you're already like a super healthy superhuman, but like give us an example of somebody who, say, was not in good health and you watched like their transformation.
Yeah, so when I've worked with some clients that had disharmony and imbalances in the body, literally within the first session, they're leaving like, oh my gosh, I am refreshed. It feels like I had one of my good friends and clients, and she has a machine. She said it just feels like everything turned on. Her vision turned on, her hearing turned on, all her senses were just heightened. Everything a little bit sharper. That's kind of the general consensus. What I get is, wow, I feel refreshed and everything's just a little bit tuned, you know, a little stronger, a lot of mental clarity. And as I was saying before, how it works intelligently in different people is there's some people with sleep issues. That's the first thing they notice is that night I had the best sleep in 20 years. That was verbatim what I've got from one of my customers. And he was so impressed that he said, can I come try it the next day? I said, of course. She used it 2 days in a row. He's like, I need to buy this machine.
Right. So you mentioned something. I want to go back just a little bit. You mentioned what's happening on the cellular level. If it's changing the cells, like what's happening on the cellular level? Can you?
Okay, so another good question. And as I had first mentioned, it's the smallest molecule. So that being said, its mobility and capability to actually enter our cell walls that other vitamins cannot do. They cannot go to certain areas that other antioxidants and vitamins can go where hydrogen can. So because of that bioavailability, this is when we get into the cellular health. In the mitochondria, it can actually restore the electron flow in the mitochondria to improve our mitochondrial health. It will neutralize hydroxyl radicals, which is what the mitochondria gives off during cellular respiration. So these hydroxyl radicals are also ROS, reactive oxygen species. What hydrogen does is it attaches to it and neutralizes it with zero harmful effects. So the only byproduct of it neutralizing these harmful radicals, hydroxyl and reactive oxygen species, it creates water. So there's literally no toxic reaction from
No
this.
toxic residue.
So that's why I love it, because it is on the deepest cellular level, right? No toxicity. And it actually, we've seen, I also use live blood analysis. So it's really improving the health of the blood cells to not be so clumped onto one another. They'll be separated and can flow freely about. So it's just on a cellular level, and for really with anti-aging effects, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it sounds, I'm loving what you're saying, because the more that I study healing, and for, you know, for people that are really interested like you or myself, who it's like, we're not diseased, we're not sick. However, like if you want to perform at a high level, if you want to think at a high level, then you really have this component of health optimization. Like you're really able to biohack the body, work towards longevity. And like that was one of the themes of the summit, right? Like biohack your body. Like it's not always about preventing disease, but we have this God-given right to like live fully and be, like you said, the sharpening of people's senses being turned on. So that made me think too, when people experience this therapy and say they have been sick or diseased, or they're not performing optimally or not feeling optimal, like some people just know, like they'll go to see a doctor or even come to a practitioner and they're like, I just know I'm not myself anymore. I don't have any one pinpointed symptom that I could say is like really obvious, but I just know I'm not feeling the way I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So with that being said, like when somebody starts this therapy, have you found if they all of a sudden experience this therapy and they're not interested in eating the way they were, it's like the body then I almost think of it like the body awakens to itself. It starts to like come online to heal itself. I would imagine just like somebody who smokes cigarettes, like they wouldn't want to do things that would harm themselves after feeling better. When the body purifies itself, it knows intelligently what's good for it or what's bad for it.
Right. Yeah, it's right. You know, us, you know, quote unquote healers, we're just providing resources for the body to do, right, what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, and hydrogen being in water, and what are we mostly made out of? Mm-hmm. Water. Mm-hmm. So if we can cleanse our water and supercharge our water in our body, and the majority of element in our body is water, and the majority element in water is H2, then it's like, this is a super important element. Mm-hmm. And back to your question is that, yes, this 100% gets people off of medications, you know, in a healthy way. They just don't feel like, I don't need to take this medication. And it wasn't because the doctor said you don't need this. They know, no, I don't need this. I don't, my blood pressure is fine. I don't have headaches. You know, X, Y, and Z, it gets people off medications. And we've seen that time and time again. And, you know, with proper gut health, hydrogen is produced in our gut through an enzyme called hydrogenase. So this is, yeah, it's not an alien element. This is something very, very natural to us in our body. And millions of years ago, hydrogen in the atmosphere was not a micro element as it is today. Today, it's like 0.006% of our atmosphere. A million years ago, it made up close to 60%. So this is something that is natural for life and earth and humans and every plants. It's great in the agriculture field. It's great with helping improve the health of animals. But where we messed up is through antibiotics. Antibiotics is what really took away, let me see if our internet's there. The antibiotics ruin our gut health. And when our gut health is ruined, a lot of times after one dose of antioxidants, or I'm sorry, what's the word I'm looking for?
Antibiotics.
Antibiotics, yes, antibiotics. it actually ruins our gut health to produce hydrogen naturally in our gut
Oh,
through
yeah.
fibrous foods.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
fibrous foods break down with proper gut health into releasing up to 2 liters of hydrogen in our body, which is high amounts, but we need to have proper gut health and have a proper diet to have all that naturally.
I love that you said this, because what I caution people when they hear something like this, like people are always looking for a quick fix, or like, they don't want to go through changing their diet, lifestyle, looking at sleep, looking at relationships, like all these different elements that can come together to help us heal. And so a lot of times people are looking for a quick fix or a cure-all instead of addressing their diet and lifestyle. But what I love about this is, like you said, like if you look, you still have to eat well, you still have to exercise. Like it's not like it can help. It can be maybe a quick bullet to the system to help get you back on track, but there's still all these other elements of healing. Stephen Gundry talks about postbiotics, which is like the fiber in our gut. And like you said, the hydrogenase, like the good flora in our gut needs postbiotics, but it needs that healthy environment to heal. And if we have postbiotics and we're eating properly, that feeds the mitochondria as well. So, I assume that the hydrogenase in the gut has to be fed with the proper foods for it to proliferate at the right levels.
Correct.
Yeah.
100% correct.
Yeah. So tell me more about what the benefits of hydrogen are. You talked about people having a sharper vision or having better sleep. What are some of the other benefits of hydrogen therapy?
Yeah. So it works in every organ in the body, right? It works on every cell in our body, every organ in our body. So it really has such a wide range of health benefits, from helping handle and manage the oxidative stress that occurs in our body. And if we can manage oxidative stress better, we can manage aging better, right? So that's one of the greatest, deepest things that a healthy individual is going to get from this. And what other things are, it increases ATP production, which is our energy. So it's been shown to increase ATP production. It's been shown to improve the sexual health of our sexual organs in men and women. In ovaries, it improves the health of our ovaries. It improves sperm mobility. It helps with erectile dysfunction. It helps balancing hormones in men and women. It helps milk production with pregnant women and the quality of milk they produce. It helps with inflammation in the body on all levels, from inflammation in our eyes and visual stress to in our back and our spine. It helps balance blood pressure. It's helping with diabetes. It's helping with numbers with insulin resistant and insulin sensitive individuals. There's a lot of research helping improve cancer due to its antioxidative effects in bringing a pH balance to our organs. It's just absolutely amazing. It helps improve injury, twofold with injury. It's helping hydration at a cellular level, sixfold with the hydration. It helps with collagen production, and that's why Japan and Korea, they really like to use it with a lot of the beauty salons. Not only hydrogen-rich baths, but they're making foams, hydrogen-rich foam to put on the skin because it has great permeability right into the skin. And then they've seen with consistent usage over typically 8 months or longer, it's actually helping deep wrinkles, fine lines. We have people saying gray hair is coming back with color. It's growing back more hair. It's actually reducing old scar tissue, which disrupts our electric flow underneath our skin. So there's really amazing, amazing effects. And personally, like I used to be an 8-hour, 9-hour a night. I needed that much sleep a night, and now I need 5 to 6 hours. So my body's running efficiently. I can wake up with 5, 6 hours of rest, fully awake, fully ready to go, not as groggy. So it's a more restful sleep. It's helping REM sleep. There's even some studies going on right now with REM sleep, and it's helping alertness. There's been tests done with caffeine versus hydrogen, and it's actually improves alertness in sleep-deprived individuals greater than caffeine with less side effects. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the list
just
goes on and
absolutely
on.
phenomenal what it's doing in the body.
Right. So let's now talk about, now that we have a sense of what it is and what it does, how do you receive hydrogen therapy? Like, how do you administer it? How is it received? How can you apply it?
Sure. So there's a few different ways, and the most popular one right now, at least in the United States, is infusing a water with hydrogen-rich water with available hydrogen. And that can be done in a few different ways through electrolysis, which is adding electric current to water to a cathode and an anode. And this is a positive and negative. Once electricity hits that inside water, it will separate H2 from the O. And then respectively, you can utilize the H2 gas or the oxygen gas, or combine them. So that's one way through water. You can also, another popular way is having a magnesium-based reaction occur. So there's magnesium tablets that you would put in water. The reaction with H2O, magnesium releases hydrogen into the water, and you can then drink the water in that way. There's also inhalation. So different machines can produce the gas, and which is what my company and brand does. It specializes in medical grade gas, which can be inhaled through a cannula, through the nose. You can also consume it through the eyes. Go
So
ahead.
do you put it on as a mask, like, and it's, or is it just like you attach it to the nose?
So we actually don't use a mask like you would see a CPAP mask or with oxygen therapy, because for the correct ratios of pure hydrogen, it does utilize the ambient oxygen in the air to bring a safe level of hydrogen into the body. Mm-hmm. So we just utilize a cannula that goes into the nose and around the ears.
And is that something, like, if you had it in your practice, because there'll be other people listening to this that have their own practices, is that something that you can clean and change out if you had many people coming in to have hydrogen therapy, or is it just you'd wipe that down? Have you had people that have used it in their practices?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In the past, we were using a clear silicone cannula that is designed to be a one and done. Mm-hmm. For each individual, sometimes they could use it up to 3-4 weeks, but it can collect bacteria and moisture and mold. So that's what we were using in the past. But with my brand, I'm using a new antibacterial material, which basically we can reuse over and over again. So we don't need to actually waste the product and throw it out for each new client. But actually the nasal piece itself just attaches right here. So that can be cleaned in a solution of alcohol or hydrogen peroxide and reused.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so how long, when you do your own sessions, how long do you do them for?
Sorry, are we asking about the cannula?
Yeah, when you're breathing in the hydrogen, do you do it for 10 minutes, 5 minutes? Like, is there a protocol for if it's your first time versus, like getting the body adapted to it?
Right. Yeah. So the time does matter, and also the flow rate, milliliters per minute, matters too, of the gas production. So for my machine, I do have it's one of the higher producing gas machines. It does 600 milliliters a minute, or 300 out of each port. And so for a new user, I would recommend a 15 to 30 minute session at 300 milliliters a minute if you've never experienced it before. Sometimes people feel a little lightheaded. Sometimes people feel more or less, but it's definitely good to ease into it. And as your body gets adapted to this extra amount of hydrogen, you can increase the time and the flow rate.
What is the maximum time you would use the machine for?
Well, There actually is no maximum time, because once your cells are fully saturated with hydrogen, any excess hydrogen gets released through the breath. So for yeah, so for people with a chronic condition, are critically ill, are knocking on death's door, you can actually breathe this 24 hours a day until they're better.
Wow. Well, it's interesting that you can't overdo it. It just sounds like if somebody had it and they weren't used to it, it might just take an adaptation period for the body to be able to understand what's happening as it adapts to the therapy. I thought it was interesting too, how you said in Japan, they're using it in the cosmetic industry. So like, it seems like if you can infuse water with it, you could infuse, like in Ayurveda, we use a lot of oils, like for body therapy, we use oils, we use facial products, we use capsules, ghee. It seems like it's something you could pretty much infuse into anything that the body could consume.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen much hydrogen infused oil. Where they do have ozone infused oil. The issue with hydrogen is that because it's the smallest molecule, it's hard for it to be contained in anything. You can put it in stainless steel vessel, it will go through the steel and escape. So that is the challenge, is that the smaller the bubbles you can make, the more stable the hydrogen becomes in the water. So that's why in Japan, they do utilize nanotechnology, which is on the quantum scale, in true nano bubbles, and you actually can't see with the naked eye. So there's a lot of claims out there that certain devices produce nano bubbles. If you can see nano bubbles, they're not nano, they're actually in the micro scale. And, but that being said, is like, to have these baths, you have to have constant production of hydrogen into the water to keep it rich and full, because you can't infuse a bath, take away the infusion process, and hope that the bath is going to hold the hydrogen, because it will escape very fast. Especially with heat, heat expands, so heat's going to release the hydrogen faster. So one of the tricks is to use cooler water. Cold contracts, which helps like to hold the water a little bit better.
Yeah, more like a cold, what do you call it? Like when you cold infusion. I'm trying to think of the word, like a cold bath. Yeah, like you just almost at freezing temperature, it would work better.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you were talking about capsules, then, like, if that's true, then how come the capsules would work?
How come we can put it in water?
No, in capsule form. Don't people take it in capsule form?
So the capsule form is what I've seen on the market is magnesium based.
Oh, it's magnesium
so there's
based.
Actually, yeah, it's not hydrogen. Once the magnesium goes into the water, then it releases a hydrogen.
Okay, but so do you sell capsules?
And then,
do you sell capsules in your business?
Yes. So the capsules in my business are the first that I've seen on the market to do it differently, which is not based on magnesium. They're actually based on a different form of sodium bicarbonate, alanine. And so with this and a combination of another ingredient, which are all natural ingredients, what I've found through my brand and testing is that we actually have an even higher concentration of hydrogen that gets released. However, my tablets are not designed for water. They're designed, these are the only tablets that are actually designed to be orally consumed. And with the acids in our stomach, it actually releases an even higher amount of hydrogen into our body than magnesium-based tablets in the water. So it's really, really unique what we're doing with Axiom's tablets.
Yeah. Are people using them for enemas as well, like inserting them? Like not through the mouth.
Sorry, one more.
Are people using them like enemas, like not?
Are they using them for?
Yeah, like not through the mouth, but through the anus, like injecting it that way.
Not that I'm aware of yet. There has been some talks about trying enemas and colonics with hydrogen-rich water, And haven't experienced that yet. We haven't practiced that yet, but that is something we want to try soon.
Yeah, the reason I ask is the absorption rate in the colon is very high. It's very effective in Ayurveda. Medicated enemas are used a lot in Ayurveda because of the absorption that can happen through the colon. So with your machine that you created, how did it differ from, again, the ones that you experienced early on when you started using hydrogen therapy?
So yeah, as I first was introduced into this field, about 6 years ago, it was with oxyhydrogen, and I was finding benefits from that. But as the more I researched, and the more I researched, and the more I researched, a lot of the research was pure hydrogen gas. It wasn't oxyhydrogen. What I found is that oxyhydrogen has its place with specific respiratory issues. That's where it really shines to have better benefits during respiratory issues than just pure hydrogen. But overall, the pure hydrogen therapy had more research, more effectiveness because it was pure hydrogen with higher amounts. And so when I first had a machine, and I won't mention any of the companies I had before, but what I realized is that it wasn't very user friendly. I noticed a lot of maintenance just for daily, weekly usage that just became impractical. So impractical that I stopped breathing it and I was just using water infusion because you had to detach certain pieces, reattach certain pieces to change from inhalation to water infusion. I also noticed that there was filters to change and clean. That was like, wow, I got to change this filter again. There was duration. The machine could only run for 2-3 hours at a time, and then it would overheat. So all these things at first I didn't realize was such a problem, but after around 6 months, 8 months of using it, I used the machine less and less and less because it just wasn't user friendly.
Mm.
So when I wanted to develop my brand and my model, I worked with 2 companies in the past, even building units, as well as owning them and being affiliated with them. I said, you know what? I'm going to build this new unit with all the issues that I experienced. I wanted to no filters, limit the maintenance, make it user friendly so it's practical to integrate into your daily lifestyle, because that's the only way we're going to really use it and see the results over the 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, is when you use it. If you don't use it, you're not going to see the effects. And I didn't want it to be another device collecting dust after, the first few months of excitement. And then, okay, I'm not going to use it. Not with this. My unit, it's easy. It sits on the counter. It's a touch screen, one touch. There's no chemicals you need to use. There's no filters you need to change. It has a longer warranty. Instead of a 1-year warranty, I made it a 3-year warranty, so you have more security. And then you actually have a telephone number that you can reach a professional that's trained and was studied under Molecular Hydrogen Institute to reach on the phone, not just a mysterious brand online. There's no number, only emails with a short warranty. That was some of the things as a customer I didn't want anymore.
Wow, so you really made it, like you said, user friendly for the consumer. It's always frustrating when you get something like you said and it has a short life, or you have to maintain a lot of cost to maintain it. I'm curious, because there's so much science that's backing this. Why don't we hear more about it? And where in the current medical establishment, are people using hydrogen therapy anywhere, or is it really alternative practitioners?
Okay, so that is a question that's been, boggling my mind for many years. With all this research, with all this amazing potential, why is there not more research? Why is it not in every single hospital and used in every practice? And what I realized is that it doesn't quite fit the protocols for Western medicine and what they're taught is healing. Natural products and natural elements can't be patented. You can't
Mhm.
patent it. Certain companies can't utilize it, monopolize it to create big financial gains. So these natural elements can't be patented. If it can't be patented, it can't make money. If it can't make money, we're not going to dump hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to create these really proper clinical trials that sometimes take 15, 20 years to make. So that in the Western community and society has not been explored too much. But where it is being used in hospitals right now to date is in Japan, in China, in Malaysia. United Kingdom's actually using it. And where they're using it the most is for pneumonia, respiratory issues, COVID. This was actually
this boggles your mind, like had all these people during COVID, like the elderly or the weak, had a rejuvenative therapy, like something that's not going to like knock them down further, but actually support them and rejuvenate their strength and their immunity. Wow. I mean, this is revolutionary, because that's why I call it the self-healing revolution. It's like to get the word out, to share that natural can be healing. We don't always have to turn to like synthetic or pharmaceuticals, or, you know, it just boggles my mind, you know, that people could have access to therapy like this.
Yes, I mean, that's the whole principle is, you know, utilizing this knowledge, as well as other natural therapies. The people, the public, we can take health back into our hands with proactive care, preventative care, and having a technology like this hydrogen generator. You don't have to go to a clinic and pay thousands of dollars for a treatment session, you know, through different, very unique practitioners. You can actually get your own healing clinic device into your own home while you're working online, while you're sleeping, while you're watching a movie, why, you know, you wake up in the morning, you know, while you read the paper, watch the news, whatever your morning routine is. This can now, you know, people now have the opportunity to have health into their hands, and the power and the responsibility is in their hands now.
Yeah, that's what I hope will come of this summit, is that people will begin to realize or see ways in which they can start to empower themselves. I'm very much advocate for moving away from victim consciousness into a consciousness of empowerment. And this is such an amazing tool that you've created and that you're sharing. I know there's probably in the back of people's minds some naysayers right now, or this is too good to be true. Can you just, before we end, explain any clinical evidence or research? Like you said, it's happening in Japan, it's happening in Asia. Where can people begin to look at the clinical evidence, so that if there's some people that are really like, I'm interested, but I doubt, because I think sometimes it's like too good to be true, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Share some great clinical places where people who are like, okay, I want to see if this is, because I'm sure they're like having questions in their minds right now about, what is this? Why didn't I hear about it? And curiosity to know, is the science there?
Yeah. Great. No, it's a great question. And we all do need to be vigilant for snake oil and things like of that nature. But one thing that I was so happy when I joined the hydrogen revolution, the hydrogen movement, was that there was an abundance. There's over 1,000 studies, clinical studies done. Not all human. There's a lot of animal trials and human trials, but there's now over 1,000 studies done. And for the amount of time it's been out, for about 60 years, to have over 1,000 studies that take sometimes 10 to 20 years to make, that's a lot of studies in that little amount of time. But what I recommend for people to do that are questioning, they want to see some more validity, they want to see transparency, they want to see the results in clinical trials, is pubmed.gov. This is a government website. It has a lot of validity. So I highly recommend people to go to pubmed.gov. There's tons of research with cancer therapy, helping dissolve tumors. It's helping with Alzheimer's, dementia, and we can even find through Japanese, Japan Hydrogen, what is it? Japan Hydrogen Association, which is a Japanese website that can, through Google, auto translates it to English. But they have some really good studies on there as well. Is yeah, maybe I can send the link to you afterwards so we can post that.
Yeah, we'll share it out.
They have some really good studies out of Japan on that web.
Yeah, let's do that. Put a link so that people who hear this can see the validity of it, because like I said, I think it might be in some people's minds too good to be true, but I love that the research is there, the science is there. It's not hogwash and it's not snake oil. And you've created such an amazing tool and really created something that that humanity can benefit from. I so appreciate you taking the time today to speak with me and share your Dharma or life purpose with our audience.
Well, thank you so much. It was absolutely my pleasure. And I can't wait till we chat again. And I look forward to learning more from the other experts on the field. And thank you again. I just hope to continue to spread the mission and the word and the research behind molecular hydrogen therapy.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. It's going to be in my practice in 2023. It's on my my list of things that will be coming into my own practice to share and help further the knowledge. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.